The Joe Rogan Experience.
It's going to be way harder to pull some shit off like this again.
Right.
People are not going to buy into it, especially all those vaccine-injured people who keep getting gaslit. Why do they keep calling it long COVID? How come nobody I know who wasn't vaccinated got long COVID?
Right.
What is this long COVID you speak of? Is there long flu? Where's the long pneumonia? What the fuck are you talking about? Why are you calling it? Is it possible that this is a vaccine injury? I'm just asking.
Well, yeah, I've been looking at antibody levels in these people, and it's alarming. So we really don't have a lot of tests for vaccine injured. It's hard because they'll get the $1 million workup. By the time they come to see me, they've gone through multiple tests, they have multiple doctors.
It's not really $1 million, is it? The workup?
Well, I don't know, but I'm exaggerating. But
right. I just want to be clear.
I don't. It could be.
For some Vanity Fair came horse dewormer who claimed there was $1 million markup.
Somebody should fact check me on that, and it's probably higher than $1 million, but. So they they go through the workup, and then they can't find a test to prove that they're injured. So the doctors will put them on psychiatric medication. They'll put them on sleeping pills and benzodiazepines and antidepressants. Literally, I saw a patient was put on all three. So the only test that I have found that does seem to correlate is this antibody test. It's a spike protein antibody test. LabCorp has it. That's where I send people. Quest has it, but they put the upper limit as too low, so you don't really get a good sense. But the upper limit of the test is 25,000. And in people that have not gotten the COVID shots, I'd say it's usually under 1,000. And then people that have gotten the shots, a lot of them are off the chart. They're over 25,000. But on average, they're probably 10 times higher than the people that have not gotten the shot. And this is people who they were vaccinated 4 years ago. It wasn't like they just got the shot. Obviously, COVID's not an issue anymore in terms of, people getting sick. But 4 years later, you should not have sky-high antibody levels. And that's what I'm seeing. And that is alarming. It just suggests that there is a lot of spike protein still in the body causing problems.
And haven't they shown that the spike protein continues to be produced in the body up to 700 days later?
Yes. That's one study. There's some, what's interesting in that study, the antibody levels were really low, which doesn't make sense. So I kind of questioned the whole study, but yeah, I see it. I see patients. I still see vaccine injured patients coming to me for the first time years later. Last week, I probably saw 6 new vaccine injured patients, and they're not getting any help. The government, it's called the CICP. It's a countermeasures injury compensation program. They're supposed to help these patients. They have denied 98% of people that have applied for assistance. They, on average, I think they've awarded 30 people, of all the vaccine injured that have applied, 30 people. On average, the award is like $4,000 for these people. It's horrible. These people's lives are just destroyed. These are not easy things to treat. It's not like I can give them an antibiotic and they're good to go and they're fine. They're very challenging. We don't have a lot of guidance. I do see a lot of success with ivermectin, but it's slow going. It's usually months of trying to help them. And the government really needs to help these people because there's a lot of people suffering. And they're getting completely ignored. The other issues, we don't even have a code. So every disease has a numerical code, and it's called an ICD-10 code. It's what they use to compensate people or the insurance companies use them, but also for tracking. So if you have, COVID has its own little code, and you can just dial in the code and get all the numbers. They don't have a code for vaccine injury. They have a code for vaccine hesitancy, but they don't have a code for injury. So all these people are just sort of, they're getting all these diagnoses, but there's no way to track them. It's a big problem.
How convenient.
Yeah.
Well, I would imagine the real problem with paying people is you'd have to pay so many. But that's
we can just print the money. I don't know what the problem is.
What do you give them? What if you find out you have myocarditis and your life expectancy is greatly reduced, and we know for a fact it came out of this vaccine? What do you give a person like that? You're going to take.
Their life's wages, what wages that they would have potentially earned.
What if it's Katy Perry?
Well, so be it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to give her $2 billion.
I don't care.
Like, what do you do?
The vaccine companies can pay that money.
I know, but it's insane. The number of people that I personally know. What's very shocking to me is when I talk to people that are pro-vaccine, still pro-vaccine, and when I be very specific, mRNA vaccine, still pro-COVID vaccine, that will tell me they don't know anybody who was injured by it.
Yeah.
I was like, how is that possible?
How many people do you know?
I know a lot.
Yeah.
I know 2 people on pacemakers.
Yeah.
2. And
yeah,
they're young
everybody
people.
knows somebody.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that got fucked up, including family members. I know a lot of people that got fucked up. And people that don't want to admit they got fucked up, all of a sudden they have this new cancer that's spreading, like, rapidly.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. You know, it's like I watched the Danny Jones podcast, and you guys were trying to get Callie Means to talk about SV40, right?
Well, my thing with Callie, I actually talked to him last night. Just why he will not go on record to state that COVID shots should be pulled off the market, and that, that's the whole. He's the head of.
Do you think that's being political? That's trying to like appease too many people? What do you think that is?
I can't read their minds, but I think I think anybody with a big microphone, who is in a position of power, and who knows the truth, is ethically obligated to speak the truth. That's how I see it. I mean, I'm not a politician. I keep hearing the word strategy. But there are people I see. I'm just faced with the carnage every day in my office. It's just, I can't ignore it, and I don't understand why this is so difficult, other than, political. But it shouldn't be political.
It shouldn't be. Right. That's what's disappointing, because we thought that this administration come in and it was just going to kick down doors.
Right.
Like, this is it. Epstein list, day one. Who killed JFK? Let's find out. What are all these fucking UFOs?
That wasn't on my priority list, but yeah.
I'm a dummy. That was my number one. Like, if I had out of those 3, give me that one. Tell me the aliens are real. But this political dance, this excuse for that. So I really appreciated Jack Cruz kind of pestering him on that. And then I've talked to Brett Weinstein about that as well. And he gave a breakdown of how it actually happened and when the original kidney cells from these monkeys were being used to make vaccines, that they inadvertently gave these people this simian virus 40, which when it gets into the human body can lead to rapid cancer.
Right. Well, yeah, that's one of the cancer-causing issues with these shots. That's not the only one, though. I mean, it goes into the cell. It's supposed to not get into the nucleus, but it could get in the nucleus. We know that it can get into the nucleus. And then if it gets in the nucleus,
well, at first they thought it was going to stay local.
Right. It's only going to stay in the arm, right?
It's going to stay right where your arm is. Your body will react to it. It'll produce the antibodies, and then you're good to go.
Yeah.
And then all these silly people, you can watch them die in the streets and laugh as you step over them. Ha, ha, ha. I was smart.
Right.
I trusted the science.
Yeah.
So they know that that's not true. It doesn't stay local. They know it doesn't dissipate within. It was a small amount of time that it was supposed to stay inside your body. They know that's not true.
Right. So yeah, they replaced one of the nucleotides with something that's hard to break down, pseudouridine. They've never shown that pseudouridine is cleared from the body. There's no study showing that we can clear it. So that could be why these people have these sky high antibody levels 4 years later. Because the body might not be able to break it down.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That's terrifying. What could you conceive of that would help something like that? Like, what could you do that would aid the body in being able to do something like that? Is there anything theorized?
I don't know. I wish, Robert Malone would be a good person to ask, maybe. Maybe
he should
something
come back
like,
on and do a victory lap anyway. That guy was torn apart.
Yeah.
They were trying so hard to make him out to seem to be a kook. And every interview he would do, he would be so reasonable, so logical, so fact-based, and so knowledgeable. And he was a kook. He was a kook. I remember some fucking guy yelled at me yelled at me in Vegas. He said something about me spreading disinformation. Then he said something about that idiot Malone. I'm like, that guy.
The inventor of mRNA.
Or one of them, you know.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it's not like none of those things ever happen in a vacuum. I'm sure there's a ton of people working on that. But he was one of them.
Right.
He's a fucking brilliant guy. But so how did they find out that it can get into the nucleus?
Well, if you look at lipid nanoparticles, and that's sort of that's what. Otherwise, if you just put mRNA into the body without the lipid nanoparticle, it would get destroyed. So they put it in the shell, the lipid nanoparticle, and there are studies showing lipid nanoparticles can cross the nuclear membrane. So there's that. Kevin McKernan is a scientist. He's on X a lot. He's done a lot of work in that, showing DNA contamination that's getting into these shots, in addition to the SV40. And
DNA contamination.
Right. So there's, and this was what Joe Latipo, the Surgeon General of Florida, he has actually called for the COVID shots to be pulled off the market, and his main argument was there is a certain amount of DNA that is allowed in any kind of these products, and we have proof that they have exceeded that threshold. So there have been studies showing that there's excess DNA in these samples, which shouldn't be there. And that's just sort of this hard line that shouldn't be crossed.
Where's this DNA coming from?
In the production process, I guess. But it's pretty cut and dry. I think that's why Dr. Latipo has chosen this argument to go by, because there's just like a hard line that you don't cross, and they have crossed that.
And what happens if you get too much DNA?
Well, you can integrate. The concern is, does it integrate into your cell DNA?
Are we going to make
mess things
like
up?
Monkey people? I mean, could you
cancer,
imagine?
but cancer, that's...
Right. You imagine if we made like hybrid people, they turned out to look like Neanderthals, like we injected them with something that twisted their genes back. But just the idea of manipulating your DNA is so terrifying. It's like, what?
In pregnant women, right?
Right. Integrating.
It'd be one thing if it's a 70-year-old man, but a pregnant woman
You hear that term?
got these...
Integrate DNA. You don't think good things. That's like immediately I'm like, what?
Right. And these things are technically gene therapy products. They're not vaccines. So,
which is a real problem with using the same term. Why not use a new term? Well, because then you wouldn't be under the umbrella of protection that vaccines currently enjoy, where they can't be, which is so crazy. It's so crazy. It's just hard to believe it's true. It really is.
It is.
And so for a person like you that, just like you were saying, see the carnage every day, tell me what it's been like. Like, what is it like?
It's hard because as an ENT, I'm used to fixing people quickly. So, I get somebody with a sinus infection, get them an antibiotic, they're good to go. I get somebody with an abscess, I drain the abscess, they're good to go. It's sort of why I chose my specialty, because I like to see the results quickly. I didn't go into primary care for a reason. And so when I see the injured, it's like, it's very slow going. We don't have a lot of research. It's trial and error. These people are young, were previously young and healthy, and their lives have just been completely destroyed. I don't have a big support system of other specialists I can send them to. It's hard. I mean, I don't feel sorry for myself, but I'm just saying it's just very different from what I'm used to as a doctor. So I really hope that the government will step up and do something about this.
Yeah, that would be a nice thing, to hope to do something about it. But it would be really nice if some real research was done on what are the actual long-term effects. If everyone's looking at it from a position of we can't get sued for this is dangerous, like someone has to look at it and say, well, these are the definite effects of this vaccine, because it's too much. This is long COVID. It's too much. Oh, he got a neurological condition that was going to happen anyway. It just coincidentally happened after he took the COVID shot. Like, there's got to be some way to determine what of these ailments, like specifically, like when you're talking about that abnormal antibody levels, like
Well, there are patterns. I mean, I definitely see the same sort of things over and over again. So it's not like,
But as you said, it doesn't have a classification.
Right. It doesn't have a code. So we need an ICD-10 code for these.
That seems kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well.
Imagine if that was the case with like herpes. Everybody would be like, hey,
Yeah.
put a damn code in there so we know what this is.
Right.